Innovation Unplugged from the Alabama Community College System's Innovation Center takes you inside Alabama's workforce development. Join us for enlightening conversations with community leaders and industry experts showcasing experiences, addressing key issues, and celebrating successes in the workforce initiatives across the state. Hello again. Another production of Innovation Unplugged, a production of the ACCS Innovation Center. I'm Houston Blackwood, Workforce Director for this group. On my left, your right, we've got Kaliah, Dozier, Director of Marketing and Corporate Partnerships for the Innovation Center. And on my right, your left, I've got Jake Bonds, who is the Senior VP at Schoel Engineering. And we've got a long story, and this is a really cool industry partnership story for this group. So we're so happy to have you, Jake.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, and you literally came in on two wheels, you said?
Yeah, I did. I mean, fighting the rain and got here on two wheels.
Rain and Huntsville traffic, Birmingham traffic, Tuscaloosa traffic.
All the above.
Man, you are committed.
Yeah.
So we're
glad to be here.
Yeah, great. So give us a rundown. How did we all get here today?
I think it was primarily because we needed people on our survey crews. And that's kind of where it stood. For years, Schoel has had a pretty good plan of how do we get surveyors into the workforce. That's the licensed surveyors. But trying to find these techs has been really a challenge over the years. So I guess what we did is we got in touch with you guys. We saw you at a conference, and we touched base with one another and decided that we partnered together and we provided some teachers and that sort of thing to teach the workforce development classes on the surveyor helper, now surveyor technician. So that's how we got here.
We changed that name. Got away from the helper.
Yeah, the helper was quite, but it's okay. It had to be something, right?
It had to start somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. So
that actually happened. So Brandy thinks there was a vote. Our curriculum director.
Okay. Hey, pause. We're not outing this on. Just kidding.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding.
Can I tell you?
There was a vote.
Yeah, there was a vote.
There was a legit vote. Don't downplay the vote.
I want to hear the backstory to this.
I went to your fall conference over in Guntersville.
You did, yeah.
And we were talking. I was talking to all these guys, and they were like, "Helper." They didn't like it. I could tell they didn't like it. And we didn't like it, but we didn't know. And so I kept hearing it. And so I just texted the group. I was like, hey, they voted here to change the name to technician.
That was
typically it's supposed to go through like a task force thing and all of that. So he just said there was a vote and we believed him.
But your best guys were like, yeah, technician's good.
Technician's good. Yeah.
Sounded official.
I learned a couple of weeks ago in my office that it had been changed. So somebody walks in, I was telling them about the land surveyor helper. I said, well, it's not helper anymore. I was like, oh, I thought it was. No, it's technician. I said, well, that sounds better anyway.
It does. So we have like a couple others that are helper labels, but now everything is assistant or technician or whatever it works. But
for sure.
But the purpose of that is like, when you look at a young person or a new person into the industry that's trying to do the job, like they want to feel important about what they do, and you get this job is extremely technical and important, even the technician level. Yeah. So, but you give them that title, right? And it's like it doesn't matter what it is. If you're an assistant or a technician, it's good, better than helper. So we made that change, but we got some other changes. It's not for this conversation. There's some other changes we want to make to that course or expansion of it. I don't want to get into the weeds there, but so we met and you guys were, I don't know, which conference was it that we met?
It was the 2023 fall conference was when you and I spoke.
The first one, yes.
Yeah, because I was speaking on workforce development.
That's right.
Kind of the backstory there, and I'm kind of getting back into that. How did we get here? I attended Manufacture Alabama, and I heard through learned through Manufacture Alabama that there was a curriculum out there that the governor, I had no idea the governor had a plan to get so many credentialed employees, throughout the state. I was kind of running a rabbit trail of okay, we've got low unemployment, but we've got the number's low, but there's very few workers out there. So there's the workforce participation rate was really low for Alabama. So how do we get more people into the workforce? And so that was where I was kind of running that rabbit trail before I met you guys, and that was for my presentation for ASPLS.
I remember that now. Okay, yeah.
And so as I was running that path, I was trying to think, what am I trying to communicate to our people? Like, what do we need to do? And the answer to that was because sometimes we hear we got a shortage of surveyors, and we had to look at ourselves and say, okay, do we really think we do, or do we actually have a shortage of a workforce shortage overall? Because you think about how difficult it is to find a contractor or anybody to come to your house to do anything, and it's a couple of weeks. So I mean, me and my wife called a plumber, and he's like, "I'll be there next week." It's like, "Well, daggum, I need you now." And so, the question was, did we have any issues that were unique to surveying that were not that were other places were not dealing with? And so, as we looked at that, was the purpose of my presentation, was kind of to look at that. And what I saw was that really through the use of technology, maybe we don't need quite as many licensed land surveyors as we used to. It was the pulling a chain and had a transit, and you go out and you do. You have a bunch of people in the field, and today it's GPS, robotic total station. You need a lot fewer people. And then also the way that the companies are made up. Used to, you had a lot of small mom and pop companies. Today you really don't. You have a lot of kind of larger engineering companies and that sort of thing. So the question was, do we have a shortage of surveyors, or really is it the technicians that we felt like we really had at Schoel, we had a really good way of getting people licensed. We got people through Troy University. We'd go there and recruit, and we still do. I'll be there in a couple of weeks. But through that pipeline, we've gotten people licensed, and that takes a 4-year degree to do. You have to come in, you have to work 4 years under a surveyor, and then you get licensed. So we felt like we had that under wraps and had a pretty good plan for that. We've got 9 licensed land surveyors at Schoel. But what we struggle with, and even today we're trying to, as of today, we're still trying to hire people in the field to be good techs. And not come to us completely green. We would like for them to have some experience or some exposure. And then, so whenever I heard about what was going on with the land surveyor helper course, now land surveyor technician, I was glad that some of our other surveying guys were already on that. Y'all are already on it. And we felt like we had a really good plan. I said, I can't believe this is already in the works, because this is exactly what I could have dreamed up. So. But no, it seems to be a really good course. I've seen the material and excited. Our guys are teaching it, and like I said, there may be some tweaks here and there, but you got to start somewhere. And it just feels like the momentum's in the right direction with this thing.
Agreed. When did we do this first lab?
Oh gosh,
January of 23.
Yeah.
And it was we made it happen because the weather kept getting in the way, and it's more or less got to be outside, so weather kept getting in the way, and then we finally launched it, and it's grown. Now we've got a lot of places requesting this course, and so my question to you is, who are you looking for? What's your ideal age for somebody to go through this course? Because we can offer it in high schools to 16 and up, or we can offer it to adults, or we can offer it to folks who are re-entering society in some way. Or folks who just want a career change or whatever. So what's your ideal candidate for these land survey technician?
Yeah. I'll tell a quick story about how I got into surveying real quick, and then I'll kind of answer that. But I got into surveying because I wanted to work outside a lot, but I didn't want to work behind a desk a lot. And maybe you wanted a little bit of both of that. Okay. I liked history, but wasn't crazy about math, and a lot of what we do is math, so I learned to like it. But what I decided to do was just get a job in surveying. I had a friend of mine who went to Troy and decided, I said, well, what do you do? And he tried to explain it. I didn't really understand, and not many people do understand exactly what surveyors do, but I went and got a job. I enjoyed that. If you enjoy the outside elements, that's the type of person we're looking for. I certainly did. I grew up in the woods, out working outside. Understanding what work looks like and that sort of thing. But, just working outside, if you enjoy doing that and you don't want to be just a day laborer, that it's a job where you can work outside and be a professional. And so, who we normally see get into land surveying are people who are really from the rural areas, not to say that there are not people that are in the, the city that do that, but we're typically, your 4-H, FFA, type folks, that's kind of that's who the survey helper might lend to, or survey technician might lend to. That's the type of students we see at Troy down there. So a lot of times folks are from the rural areas. But as far as age goes, getting people back into the workforce is a great thing. What we're trying to do is reach people that wouldn't otherwise, maybe they're just displaced because they're changing locations. They're coming into Huntsville, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa. Those folks are great too, especially if you have a background in landscaping or just general construction labor, but you may not want to be on that concrete crew or that carpentry crew, and it's like, I'm looking for an out here,
something
different. So if you have any sort of measuring background and kind of understand measurements and how it fits, those are always helpful people. And I don't know that the age matters that much, because we have guys who are 18 that have a hard time working in the field because they never have before. And then we have guys who are in their 50s and 60s that just love it and are great at it. So I don't think the age necessarily matters all that much to us. We want good people that know how to work and then have a sense for measurement and what we're trying to do.
Thank you for breaking all of that down. I feel like in my world of learning a little bit through the course of land surveyor, and then my future brother-in-law is a land surveyor from Troy, and I don't talk that lingo well, but all the opportunities that he has had and the upward mobility that he has had, it is a world that, as you just said, a lot of people don't know about the career opportunity, and that's because Alabama doesn't have a ton of programs out there. And so I think you are a testament, your company is a testament to moving the needle on awareness, but also just encouraging people to seek after it. So this is what that course is intended to do, obviously, for your company and all of those within your associations. But speak to a little bit about kind of partnering with us. We've talked about mock interviews, and our audience, we're always looking for partnerships, but moving it to the employment of the students that are graduating from these programs. And every industry looks a little bit different on how someone steps into that world, or how someone applies for a job, or they may want to take a job and then, do I really want this to be my career? Sure. So with you guys, we've talked through some of that mock interview, but kind of paint that picture and walk us through the ideal scenario. If someone starts with a land surveyor technician, they come through that mock interview, they get employed, what are all Alabama looking towards for surveyors, what that could potentially look like here? Sure,
absolutely. And we're excited about that partnership too, to be able to provide mock interviews, because it does a couple of things. It does something for us in the sense that we get to see these students, but it also really provides the students a good opportunity to see an employer and feel that pressure of having to come in and prepare a resume. And we see all kinds of different resumes. And so we're excited to be able to provide the feedback to the folks that are coming through and just say, hey, might want to think about this or that. So we're really excited to do that, and for us to say, hey, this gives us a new candidate pool to say, if we really like a certain person, we can offer them a position. And then we have the track record to kind of back up to say, hey, here's exactly how we get people through the program. And so our strategy is, and then one other thing I would say is that if we don't have a place, this is not just about Schoel, this is about the surveying community as a whole. But Schoel, we know so many people. We've been in business since 1888, and we've got we've got a long history in Birmingham, and since 2019 we've been in Huntsville. We have an office here in Tuscaloosa as well. And so, we know a lot of people, and surveying is a small community. Jason Bailey is the one that helped put this course together. So I'm really thankful for him.
Love him.
And so, so Jason, we all know each other really well. And so it is a small community. So if we're not looking for somebody, we know other people are. And so we can put candidates in the right spot to get a job. And so what it would look like at Schoel or any other company, what it would look like is they would come in and do an interview, and we would sit down and kind of talk through their interests and their we try to, specifically to Schoel, we try to make sure they're going to fit our culture, because you want somebody that comes in and really wants to fit in and try to do the right things, and any company does. But so they would come in, they would interview with us. If they passed the initial interview and they got hired, our process is we stick them with a crew chief. So in a land survey crew, typically you have 2 to 3 people that are on a crew, and there's a crew chief. Our crew chiefs have 5+ years of experience, anywhere from 5 years to 35 years of experience. But that land surveyor technician would work with that crew chief and learn the trade, essentially learn the profession to learn how to use the robotic total stations, you learn how to use the GPSs. We do a lot of construction staking, so for our contractors, and so basic safety is very important to learn. So they would be trained in safety, and so the process will go through. And if the person shows enough, kind of motivation and aptitude, we do send people back to school. So we have a couple of folks right now who are enrolled in Great Basin. And Schoel pays for those people to go back to school. Great Basin's an online school where you can go back and get your geomatics degree, and become a licensed land surveyor. So I would say that it's very, very plausible for someone to come into Schoel to work as a crew member, show enough aptitude to where they can become a crew chief and get on a path to licensure. That would be our ideal candidate.
Okay. I didn't know that there was an online place for that.
How long is that program?
That program, if you just go to the program, it's 4 years. It takes longer if you're working. So I would estimate maybe it would take you 8 years if you were working and doing it at the same time. Fair. ETSU also has one at Johnson City, Tennessee. They have they have an online program.
Yeah.
So the most common ones that I hear of are Great Basin online, ETSU, and then Troy also provides a GIS degree online that with certain hours you can become a licensed land surveyor. It just takes a little longer. You need a little more experience to do that. So that's a plausible pathway here in the state.
With those online courses, do you see the same quality as you do out of a brick and mortar at Troy?
That's what I was afraid of. But whenever I open Great Basin, I have to proctor the labs myself for the guys that are going through. I open the books, and they're the same exact books that I used at Troy. Okay. So it's interesting. Dr. James L. Thorpe, he wrote the same labs. I thought, hey, this is good for me to go through again too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of that I didn't quite get the first go around.
That's interesting. When I was starting my master's, I went to an online campus, and I didn't like it because there was never any face-to-face or any part of that, and that degree didn't require it. But I switched to brick and mortar because I thought I got to know the people here, because these folks are from like all over the country. But this having a lab I didn't know it would be proctored like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, the hard part about it is I can't proctor calculus, so I can't help them in that. In calculus or physics, I'm stuck there.
Me neither. What has been so you struggle to get technicians, and I think any heavy equipment or civil construction company would too, carpentry, whatever. What is the thing for engineering and surveying that keeps folks away? And I phrase it that way. That sounds negative. What can we put into our course and our marketing to overcome those things?
Yeah. Well, what has maybe caused the situation that we're in. Let me start there. What has caused that is the way that surveying specifically has been done, and then I'll even back up from there. Engineering and surveying, civil engineering and surveying, used to be very close to the same. That they used to be. If you were a civil engineer, it's just assumed that you were a surveyor back in the day when Herman Schoel started Schoel in 1888. That's the way it was. He was a civil engineer for Elaton Land Company and a surveyor. And so as time has gone on, especially technology has caused this, I believe, but the two professions have kind of diverged, and then you ended up with two different professions. So land surveying in specific used to be done in the field. So you had the land surveyor was in the field all day, every day, making all the decisions, and then they brought their field notes back in, and it was drawn by hand in the office. Now, today, it's not that way. Today, the land surveyor's in the office most of the time, makes occasional site visits, and then a lot of the decisions are made in the office. And so what has changed is, now we have a 4-year degree, whereas used to, I guess, pre-2012 maybe or so. My date could be wrong there, but somewhere mid-2000s or so, you used to be able to get licensed by just 8 years of experience. You could work under a licensed land surveyor for 8 years. And so that shift made it to where also land surveying wasn't done in the field. So land surveying not being done in the field, more in the office. And then also you couldn't work your way from, say, a crew member, so land surveyor, technician, all the way up to a licensed surveyor just by in the field. All of a sudden you had to have a degree, which is a good thing. Having a degree is a good thing. That's the way it works on the engineering side. But that caused a little bit of how we got here today, a gap in the knowledge base. So what can we do, or to answer your question, what can be added in the curriculum? I don't know exactly how to phrase what could be added. My thoughts are, surveying is a very field oriented profession, whereas engineering is not necessarily, unless you're a geotech. That's more field oriented. So I would say, having a healthy appreciation for the field and the history of surveying, as well as what has to happen in the office from a drafting and research standpoint. I think maybe what might keep some people away is thinking, well, there's no opportunity to go from the field into the office, and that's really not the case. You can go from the field to the office to, I started in the field myself. I started out of Troy into the field. I worked in the field for several years, and then into the office and where I am today. But it is genuinely a place where you can start in the field and make it, to wherever you want to go.
What would be some fun stories that and I think we had a conversation this morning about what's next for our podcast.
Okay.
Like some fun things we want to do. And one of those was having an on-site podcast at a lab or with a company. And so, and we talked about this thing and all the things we're doing together, similar with Aldot. What would it look like for us to have an on-site lab with you guys there, or some of your competitors? So there's this industry idea, and us having a podcast with the lab and bringing the kids on. What would you want those kids to see in that lab that would hook, line, and sinker them to be in the surveying world?
Well, I think about technology, because that's what kids love. They love video games, and they love to see the cool bells and whistles. So I'll kind of share one thing that needs to be in there. Is one of our guys in our Huntsville office, Joe Kahn.
Yeah, I know Joe.
Yeah, so he just, I don't know how he did it. He 3D printed 2 different boats, though. It'll be on our website soon. You can check our socials, but you can already see the boat on our social media pages. But he has these 2 remote control boats. One completely autonomous, drives itself, and it basically takes a topo or a contour map of the bottom of lakes. And so it'll do dam inspections. It'll do bridge scour inspections. So it does side scan, sonar, straight down.
Holy cow.
Bathymetric. And so it's amazing. But the kids would want to see those sorts of things in action. He has those. We had them wrapped. It looks like the Schoel Navy fleet out there. It's got 2, our 2 boats.
How big are these boats?
Probably as long as this table, and maybe not quite as wide. So
okay,
yeah, cool. So they're look like pontoon boats with a kind of fans on the back, so it doesn't get hung up. But really neat. It's impressive.
Yeah,
looks like we bought it.
Built this?
He built them by hand, 3D printed all the parts and everything.
Wow.
So
I'm not surprised. I met him a couple of times, and I thought that guy's wicked smart.
Yeah, he's
wicked smart.
He is very smart. All credit to him. So you'd want to see things like Jocon's boats. You'd want to see things like robotic total stations, and this is typically what we set up. We set these total stations up, and they'll automatically track you. And it's like, how is it doing that? What's that technology? 3D scanners, laser scanners, GPS units, all those sorts of technology. And I think, to y'all's credit, a lot of these are being used in the lab today. The boats, maybe not so much. But maybe drones as well, because we used DJI Phantom 4 drones. And so those sorts of technology are pretty cool to use, and kids tend to love those.
Well, we need your, not to divert from that story, but we're building a drone operator. I don't even know what the title is. Drone operator.
Yeah.
So your best guy, we would love to have him on.
Sure. We have a couple of guys.
Guy or girl.
Who are Part 107 certified. So
okay.
Well, yeah, because our course is a Part 107 prep, but also operating the drone.
Yeah.
So it's kind of two-part. Like you can get, I don't know which will come first, but we'd love to get them on the task force for that. We've got a North Central South. We got 2 agriculture guys who do drones for spraying different things, and a lot of law enforcement. No industrial maintenance person, and so you guys would be great to have on there, because that would be a huge tie into our course. So we'll connect that.
And it'd be a good bundle later with the land survey technician course, and then you can do the drone, it kind of up that pathway or upskilling.
Well, that'd be very helpful too, for us. If you're Part 107 and you're past the land surveyor tech, hey,
you know a lot.
That you do know a lot.
Okay, so I'm a picture up from what we were talking about, and you're spot on, man. I've got a 15-year-old, 15 and a half. All his friends are 15, 16.
Yeah.
And if there's not some gadget behind it, they're not paying attention.
Right.
I tried to show them the carburetor on my old Jeep, old Land Cruiser today, and I was trying to show them how if it runs out of gas, you can take the breather off, put your hand on top, pour a little gas in there, and crank it, and it'll suck that gas in there. They're like, blew their mind, but they didn't want to know how. They're like, oh, that's a cool trick, Dad.
Yeah, I'll call you if I need you.
Yeah. If it runs out, because I was teaching my son how to drive it. But this thing would be good, because now it's like, okay, you can show them a boat that's robot, you can show them a drone, you can show them this total station that's following you around, and we can certify them and all that.
Yeah.
So what else that we offer would benefit, like excavator, skid steer, CDL, I don't even know, customer relations, mastering the customer experience?
I've looked at some of those, and we don't use skid steers all that much. A lot of that equipment is really kind of survey specific, all the things that we just mentioned. So there are a lot of very helpful ones, helpful courses that you do have though.
Well, we're moving, in some ways we're moving towards some bundles, to not require people, but say, hey, don't just get one thing. Like, let's get a bunch of stuff at one time, so you're very well versed or very marketable. So in this niche market is not so niche because everybody needs it, but also at the same time we think it's very important for those heavy equipment students to understand what all those stakes are for.
Sure.
So we want to take that skid steer 101 and have a 201 and a 301, but maybe that 301 is grading. The same thing with Dozier, whatever, excavators. So we want to put all that in there. Y'all have a term. There's as-built surveying. What's the other one?
Well, you have as-built, topographic surveys, boundary surveys.
Okay. Yeah. And so the topographic would be
the
dirt construction.
Yeah, dirt. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so there's a place in Decatur I saw there. They tore something down, rebuilding it, and those stakes are everywhere. And I thought, I got to get in there and figure that out so we can include it. But how would we include this survey technician course with those heavy equipment courses?
Yes, that's a great question. I think this goes back to technology again, because used to you had a guy who could do anything with a Dozier or a front end loader, and these got very skilled people. Not so. I'm not going to say not so much anymore, but they're those people are harder to find. No different than it's hard to find great survey techs. So the way that construction companies are doing it now is they have what is called machine grading files. And so when they're out doing this grading, yes, they use some of our stakes, but primarily what they're using is a 3D file that's loaded into the machine, and then they can drive it themselves. And so part of what we have to do, or part of what we're asked to do sometimes, is just to provide the 3D file to them. And so how you link those two together, well, the the skid steer has to have GPS on board there. And then so what it does is what we're required to do is to come out in these situations, just to kind of paint a full picture, is the surveyor produces the original control points. And so that gives you X, Y, and Z location where the project sits. And then we'll provide the 3D machine file that gets loaded into the Dozier or into the skid steer. And then from there, the GPS will direct the skid steer to do the work. And so it's GPS grade, but it'll still do some pretty good job on grading sites. So that's how I see kind of all of those things working together.
Now, that kind of machine would be the dozers or devices we see. And a lot of times it's a dozer. It's got the two stalks with the domes on each side.
That's right.
It is the operator is more or less following a track.
That's right.
Inside,
they're more or less the way I understand that it works, and I've only seen these in practice standing outside, so I've never sat behind the wheel of one of these. But the way I understand that it works is each side of the blade has a GPS, and so it's able to tilt to whatever the grade is for that specific
at that specific spot.
At that specific
spot. It's crazy. So the operator is just moving the machine.
That's right.
And then the GPS, the computer is floating the blade.
That's right.
Holy cow.
Yeah. We've got to figure out how to get that in.
Yeah. So y'all would, I don't, if some of my site contractor friends are watching, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, me neither.
Let me just tell you, I'm guessing. So we hire,
they'll call you later and correct you.
Yeah. They get hired to do the dirt. We get hired to do the surveying. So.
But that's the point though, Jake. It's exactly right. Like, I don't know it. You don't know it exactly. Kayla doesn't know it exactly, but, ST Bun does.
Yeah.
And so why can't ST Bun be at the course teaching heavy equipment or sponsoring it while you're also teaching and sponsoring the land survey technician?
Yeah.
And so the students are like, well, I could do both of those.
That's
like,
right.
Which one do I like best? And now you guys have a competitive bid more for a really smart kid.
Right.
That's on y'all.
Well,
but it's a great problem to have.
It is. And it excites people because you have the choice. And that's what you want to provide the people to go into the program. And then we want to provide a compelling career for you to go into, regardless of which one of those you choose.
Because I'll be honest with you, I'm 44. I've got 20 years in the state system. I could retire and start a different thing. My wife would kill me, but I'm sitting here talking about this, and this happens all the time on the show. But like, you telling me I can play with a drone, a boat, a bulldozer, and a robot,
and get paid for it.
Get paid and build some stuff. Like, I'm 6 years old again, bud, and my Tonka truck and my whatever is rolling.
Yeah.
Like, this is exciting to me. So I don't know what gets the kids excited, but this is the story we got to tell somehow.
Yeah.
And that's why we want to do some kind of on-site podcast or on-site something different to tell your story.
Sure.
And to tell that grading company's story. Tell them together. Like, you're standing there, whoever's standing there, and you're talking about how y'all work together to make that work.
Yeah.
No one's telling that story.
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
No.
Well, we're not telling it.
I don't hear it being told. And what I see is people are still trying to figure that story out. Because the way contractors operate, everybody's a little bit different. Some people try to keep that in house, and some people, farm it out to Schoel to do. And so I think everybody's still trying to navigate because it's new. A lot of it's new technology. Yes, it's been out for some time, but a lot of it's still new, and people are still getting used to it. And that goes back to our workforce problem. How are we solving our workforce problem? Part of it is technology. And again, we need less people now than we used to because of technology. And so as it ever evolves, we kind of have to stay up on what's the latest and greatest to make sure we're not falling behind.
Yeah. You're right. And just for sanity to those people who listen are from the construction world, we realize that a kid's not going to understand all that in 2 days.
No.
1 day with you, with a land survey technician, 2 days in a bulldozer, we get it. But they understand how it all works enough to not break something the first day and to be coachable.
Or want to know more. I mean, that's all what we're about, that pathway, and whether that is on to the 2-year, the 4-year, whatever it may be, but that career, that whole person. Our motto at ACCS is make life better. And so we want to bring everybody into that fold on how do we make life better in Alabama. And so that story right there, making those connections. We had a podcast earlier with a cyber technology and engineering school, and it's like they're investing in 300 kids every year of connecting those dots. But we have the whole state to connect those dots. And so super exciting. Love it.
Absolutely.
I know we're going to get short on time here in just a minute. Final thoughts, or what's the next big thing for your industry?
So I think the next big thing for our industry is, again, I think in the future what we're going to hear, what we may hear is that there's a shortage of surveyors. You know, we may get that said. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to outpace that now by trying to figure out what do we do about that into the future. And so, technology will always be there. That's something that's always next for us, whether it's laser scanning and 3D modeling, trying to figure out how to work that in Revit, which is some of the things we do at Schoel. I'll be in Huntsville on Thursday giving a presentation to architects about how we do 3D scans and 3D models. We did a 3D scan and model of BJCC before it was renovated, and so those are all things. So the surveyors at large will be trying to figure out how to put those into practice. So it's how do we implement technology is going to be a big question, and then two, when I say how we implement it, what are the best uses of the technology that are out there, and how can we serve our clients in a more complete way? And then alongside that is, making sure that we are providing quality services to the industry at large, because what we don't want said about us is, hey, we called you, but you couldn't get to us in, a month or two. We want to make sure that we're, as a society, as an ASPLS society, we want to make sure that we're providing quality services to, no matter if it's an engineer, architect, whoever it may be, we want to make sure we're there for them whenever they get there. So I think just continuing to beat the drum of we need more people in surveying, which is why we're going out. We're partnering with you all. We're also out in the high schools trying to bring awareness to our profession. Trying to provide career paths. It's expensive to train people, but we know to have people in the future, we're going to have to train them, and then also provide them good career paths. So it's on us as a company to continue to grow to provide those career paths. So I think to kind of sum all that up is technology application, and then providing the people of the future to work in surveying.
That's cool. That's a big job.
Yeah.
We hear a similar story from every sector that we deal with, but this one's so cool. It's special to me because I grew up on a farm, and those boundaries are extremely important. Everybody's fence line is important, but I've seen so many disputes where different surveyors came out to fix it, and it was always amazing to me. They could just walk around and be like, oh, it's over there, and I don't see it, and then they go find it, and it's like, it's perfect. But it's really cool to watch that process, but to now be invested in what it actually takes to make that happen.
Yeah.
And having a little bit of inside information, it's really a cool thing.
Surveying something that affects most everybody, because this is what we tell the kids when we go talk to them is, one day you want to own a house, right? Okay, that house is going to sit on property. Okay, do you want to know where your property is to make sure somebody's not coming over on you? You do. And so it really does affect so many different people. And it is exciting because we see our work as kind of protecting the public to make sure that people are not taken advantage of, and they do know where their property is, and that they, to protect those rights that they have.
Absolutely. Final thoughts, Kayla?
I just appreciate you being on. This platform is where people get to learn new things, and you did a really good job. So we're thankful that you're here and look forward to our partnership moving forward.
Well, I just want to say thank you for what you're doing for our profession, for surveying, because it truly does take a whole army of people to try to man the workforce of the future and get more people into the workforce. So thank you for what you're doing. I know it takes a lot of effort. Well,
it does on our part, but also I would be remiss if I didn't say that you guys have done a lion's share of supporting our courses with your letting your employees go out and lead the courses and weekends and weekdays and whatnot. So you guys have been amazing.
Well, thank you.
Huge industry support. So from Schoel Engineering, we appreciate that a whole bunch.
Well, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been good, man.
Well, that is another episode of Innovation Unplugged. Thanks for joining us. Please don't forget to go like, share, and subscribe on all your podcast platforms. Have a great day.